Welcome everyone. Can you guys hear me today? If you guys can hear me, okay, go ahead and put something in the chat box so I can see. Nick, thank you. Awesome. All right, just wanted to make sure that you guys could hear me. I know last time I had some issues. So sorry for starting about a minute later. So literally right up to the point of starting the webinar here, there was an issue that's happening with the new copy of Duplicator. So I haven't gotten a chance to go through and see what's going on. What did they update in the new version of Duplicator? The latest version is 1.3, actually 1. Some issues. So Polly, if you're hearing, you're watching right now, that's what's giving you that error. And I was trying to launch a site. I was having the issues as well. So just use version 1.1.32. That's the latest one that I had tested. If you need to be able to get that version for your templates, you can just get it through the WordPress website, wordpress.org. Look for the plugin Duplicator, and then head on over to the developers tab, and that's where you can download the earlier versions. I can also go ahead and put the link directly here in the chat, but just in case you're having, you're trying to launch a site, you're using the latest version, or you update it to the latest version of Duplicator, it's going to give you some issues, at least for like the next 24 hours until I get a chance to go through and see what functions they changed. Usually they'll just change like the name of the function, so it's easy for me to update, but it just needs some time to be able to go through that. And I had a template ready for you guys with the AdSense stuff, and I had to go ahead and fix it because the launch wasn't going through because I had updated everything in that template. But now, if you go over to your profile area, you'll see that there is a new AdSense template. That's the one I'm going to be showing a little bit today. It's the one that I'm going to be using myself to kind of attack AdSense again in a hard way. With AdSense is just kind of launching a mass of sites and as many different random subjects as possible. And someone's saying that no video. Can you guys see my screen okay? You should be able to see my profile, or yeah, I'm on my profile here. You should be able to see my screen. No video, no video. All right, let me see if I stop sharing the screen and restart that over again. All right, do you guys see my screen now? No screen, okay. Give me 1 second then. Okay, we're good to go now. Perfect. Okay, so you didn't miss anything before. I was just showing you on the WordPress website where to get earlier versions of Duplicator. You just find the Duplicator plugin in wordpress.org. Head on over to developers. You can download 1.1.32, which is the version that I have working with the command center right now. Eventually, we will take the base of the Duplicator plugin and just make one specific to the command center. That way we don't have to worry about updates or anything like that. But for right now, just use 1.132, and I will get I will send out a message once I have everything working out with the newest version, which is 0.34. The new AdSense template is going to be found under your bonuses, AdSense template number 2. Really, really simple template. Basically, you just launch the site. The one area you have to change is your AdSense publisher ID. And, you know, when you first launch the site, if you go ahead and change that and save it as a new template, then there's really not many changes that you have to do at all to it. And that was my idea with it is, you know, the AdSense ads are already built into it. They kind of rotate on their own, just random positions and all that. So that way you can just launch sites in a variety of different niches and kind of get a good feel for which ones are going to work, which ones are not. That's the way that I attack it anyways. I just, you know, go as random as possible throughout all the different niches. And when I find something that works, then I kind of dig deep into it, which I'll touch a little bit today, because one of the questions I received for today's webinar was, you know, how do I choose which niches to go after, and how do you like dig deep into it to actually get like a mass amount of sites out, and not just do like 1 or 2 sites, you know, that we used to do in the past. We can only have a handful of sites before and be doing good. Now you've really got to kind of attack it in order to get some traction going with it. I also wanted to point out that I did add and it makes it to where it hides that little drop down arrow and it's just completely invisible. And then, you know, you can also use it throughout your Shaker pages and your content just by using this expand shortcode. Just, you know, you put expand, whatever you want your content that, you know, that wants to be hitting, and then close it up with the other expand shortcode. And so that way you'll be able to do it. The main thing with this to remember is don't update this plugin. Once you get it installed, don't update it and you'll be good to go. And also the latest version of WP Refresh is up here now. So if you go to download it, you'll get the latest one that some of you might have gotten emails about recently. All right, so let's a website that I just launched right before I started here to kind of test it out. And actually, I know we've got some new people on here, so let me just show you real quick. Get a good idea of how it works real quick. You grab these 2 files, the installer.php and the zip file, and then you head on over to templates and you just add a new template using those 2 files there. You can name it whatever it is you want. Just add a new template, and then I've already uploaded it here, new AdSense. Now keep in mind the login information is also available in this area, because we're going to need that login info when we go to launch the website in order to log into the back end. So it's got the admin, the password, those are there. I'm going to leave this page open. And then over on the 2 Shaker pages, we'll go ahead and create a new Shaker page real quick. I know some of you were having issues with Content Genie. I've yet to be able to experience that myself, so I'm going to keep looking into it. It could be something related to Chrome. I think a lot of the people that were sending the reports was something with Chrome. I haven't tested it on Chrome on my end. So if you're having issues, just maybe try the different browser and see if that's the case. Any of you guys that are on here right now, have you had any Content Genie issues lately where it just doesn't pull up any results? Doesn't seem like any of you guys are having issues with it, so it must be working. It seems like it's hit or miss whenever somebody reports an error. It could just be that something going on with the proxies at that particular moment. By the time I get to it and check it out, it seems like everything's working again. So the website that or the domain that I have ready to build on today, I believe is one related to plumbing. I think it was one of my PPC domains that I have, one of those random XYZs, water heater plumbing. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that angle. We'll say that the focus keyword is water heater repair. What we're going to do there. So once again, we just take that. Now, one of the things that I've been doing lately is if my domain itself has some of the keywords or it's either exact match or partial match, then I don't include any keywords in the slug. This is just something I'm testing just to kind of vary it up. But, you know, basically it would just be the city, state short, zip. So just something to kind of think about. I've had good results with it so far, as long as the keywords are on the actual, you know, there are some kind of keywords in the domain name itself. So that way it's not too repetitive. Now, if it's like a generic domain name, then I do go ahead and put in keywords in the slug. With category, we go still with the states. With tags, I'm going to go ahead and grab this. I'm going to tell it to use 20 tags. And then for the SEO title, we'll start adding some variations here. Emergency water heater repair. Another thing that I like to do every now and then is the description itself. I'll start it out maybe with city, state, short, so that we start out right with the location from the get-go. And then we'll do something like need an emergency plumber in city, state, short. Call us today to get a free estimate on your water heater repair emergency. This is using Yoast. And then let's do content. You need to grab some content for this water heater repair. So like I said, this is the part where some people are saying that they're having some errors. And I don't know if it's just taking too long for anything to pop up. But basically what it's doing right now is it's just trying to grab the search results from Google. And it's just jumping from proxy to proxy. That, you know, we have over 2,000 different proxies that we use in the application here, and over the time of the month, you know, some of the proxies will die. And I've got it set up to where it just kind of, you know, if a proxy is dead or it doesn't get the results that it wants, it jumps to the next proxy, it jumps to the next proxy. So it just kind of rotates through. And so sometimes you may get lucky and, you know, the first proxy that it tries, it's good. Other times you may have to wait a little bit until it does all that. Which it seems like we are going through quite a bit of different proxies here. Maybe I'll finally run into the error that people have been running into. Sometimes it's kind of hard to troubleshoot these things whenever I don't get the error myself, but we'll see here once it stops if it actually shows any results or not. Now well, that's kind of loading up. One quick thing I wanted to say is easing articles isn't the only article network that there is. You know, there's plenty of other ones. Let's try to see. Now there's easing articles. There's, I think if you just put in like article directory, you can kind of get a good idea of the different ones. There's one specific one that I've used in the past. Let's see if we can see this one. I know I've used hub pages before. There's article base is the other one that I've used a lot. So if you do something like, you go to Google and you do site article base and you put in your keywords, water heater repair, you can also get some other articles. And then that way you're using things that other people are not using. May have to shorten it up a bit. So that one doesn't have any, but I was missing the S in articles. But articles base is one that I've used before. And let's put in the keyword repair. So these are some that you can also use that are probably haven't been used by other users because most of them typically go with easing articles. Oh, it seems like article base has been hacked or something because it's not even getting there. But you can, you get the idea to try different article directories like that. And so here I am running into the issue that everybody else has run into. We can also try Firestorm in that case, or just do it manually. Going to Google, sticking with easing articles, and doing water heater repair. And I'll take a look in depth as to what's going on with Content Genie to see if maybe I need to change my source of my proxies, if they're just getting hammered too much, or I need to go with more of a private setup. But what I'll do is I'll open up some of these right here just to save some time for the webinar. And we just grab the article itself. And so we've got one here. I'm just going to start, since we're going to do a couple different ones. Article source. Make sure you're not leaving that in your articles if you are grabbing them directly. And let's grab one more here. So we'll just do 3 for this one. And then right after the webinar, I'll take a look and see what's causing Content Genie to get hung up a bit. We'll grab these 3. And then we worry about making them relevant to the location. They're already relevant to our keywords. We just got to make sure that they're relevant to our location as well. So I just start adding this in city, state, short in random areas. Kind of just fly through it, not really pay attention where it's going as long as it's in there about 3 or 4 times. The beginning, the end, the middle, that kind of thing. So you repeat the same thing for all 3 articles. And if if you happen to pick up like, like, oh, here's keywords, okay, then we throw it in there. But otherwise, anywhere that you throw it in should be fine. And what we're doing with these sites, the idea that I have with them is I kind of just want to test the niche. I just want to throw it out there, see if it brings traffic, and then that way I can dig deeper into it. So, we don't necessarily have to make them perfect right away. We really just want to put websites out there, kind of poke the search engines in a way, I guess, poke the search results, see which ones we get to stick a little bit. And then once we find that, then maybe we can take some time and actually make sure that we're putting in articles that make a little bit more sense, or, they're worded a little bit differently. But for the most part, we're trying to get as many of these out there as quick as possible. And then, in a month's time or a couple of weeks' time, evaluate traffic to see which areas we can dig into a little bit deeper. Now we don't have any interlinking going on right now, which we do want to have. That's very important. So we take our tags, I run them through just a text editor, be able to kind of set up some kind of the interlinking, but have it be spinning the different keywords. So I just have it find that, replace all instances of that, so that I can get my keywords all nice and clean. Then I kind of start the little spin syntax going on. I got to do the last one manually. But now I've got all my keywords in a spinning format, and I can do the previous post that way. Then we can do the same thing for next post. Just make sure we staggered it. So we take like the last keyword, and we put it at the very beginning, or vice versa. So that way we have a staggered setup for the keywords there it's going to be used for interlinking. And we can just jump straight into save and launch so that we can check out this new template. Now, like I said, when you're going through this launch process and you get that in the next screen, you get a forbidden error. It just says, forbidden, you can't access this page, something along the lines of that. More than likely it has to do because of the version of the duplicator plugin that you use to create that backup. So just go ahead and delete that backup, kind of create a new backup of it with the 1.32 version of duplicator, and you should be good to go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and log into the admin area. And I'm going to grab the login details from here. And then the very first thing we want to do is change the user, since this is the same user that has been available for everyone. I use a strong password here. Make sure you make it an administrator. Once you do that, you can log out, log back in with your new one. And that's going to allow you to come in here and delete all the extra users as well. So you can get rid of this one. This one was one left over. You can delete this one. And then that way you're left over with this one. The only other thing you have to do is obviously you got to build out the Shaker pages, the website. But Also under click bump ads is where you have to change your publisher ID. This publisher ID here, which you will find inside your AdSense account. So just log into AdSense, change that out, and that's going to allow the ads to show. But let's go ahead and build out a couple posts so you can see what this looks like. Just do like 100 to keep it simple. This one is, like I said, it's very, very, very simple. So you don't have to do it. There's none of the built-in areas that you have to add, any extra shortcodes or anything to it. Everything's pretty much good to go. You just choose however many you want to build or leave it blank. If you just want to build the max number of here, which I believe, oh, that's the other thing. You would have to add a city list. I didn't add a city list to this template, which you can just copy and paste it from one of your other templates. I'm going to use just one that I have available here. Let's see if I've got one. I've got one here, so I'm just going to create one real quick. Let's start with state short. And I can post this one in the members area if you guys don't have one. This is the 15,000 one that I typically use for all of my sites, which I believe it's already in the SERPShaker members area, but I can add it to the command center as well. So we've got city, state. Let's add, we've got state and state short. City. And then finally SIP. Okay, now that it has that, the other thing you want to choose is whether you want to backdate the posts or just leave them the current date or future date. I typically backdate them and I'll do like 350. So anywhere between now and 350 days ago is when the posts were built. And we can hit build pages and post. While that's building, another thing that I want to mention is your YouTube API key. You want to go ahead and get that input in there. I believe there's not in one in this template because I deleted my API key out of here. So just go ahead and generate a YouTube API, put it in here, save it so that way it shows the videos. You don't have to add the video code to your pages because I already have that in there. We'll be able to see here in a few seconds what's already in there, but I've already kind of pre-coded the videos and the surrounding areas, that kind of thing. But here's the general view of the theme, just a very simple theme, not quite as ugly as the regular one I had in 2017. So a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer, but it does have the ads already built in there based on your publisher ID. And it's just, that way you don't have to worry about much except just launch a few sites and kind of start poking the SERPs, see which one works. Let me see what else we've got here. We've got some hidden areas here. So if I just look for the arrow, sometimes it's not as easy to find the little hidden area. So here's one. We've got the tags that are hidden from view, but I know at the end of the content here, we've got something else that was added on. I'm just going to have a hard time finding it. Let's see if I use Firebug. We can get it to pop up a little easier. Let's see. I lost it. Yeah, I can't seem to find it at the moment, but I know that there's somewhere around here, we've got another little hidden area just like that, where we've got the surrounding areas, we've got the video showing up, that kind of stuff. You maybe just want to play around with it, try to find the little drop down. It's one of the good things and bad things about the plugin of the that hides the content. Just kind of makes it hard to find it sometimes. Now, this theme does use what's called like a sticky post. If we go to the home page, it's going to say that there's nothing there. Just basically what I typically do is after my posts are built, I kind of come to the front page and do a quick edit, whatever's here at the top, make it sticky, and update. So that way we have something showing up on the home page. And another thing to kind of keep in mind is this title that displayed up here is the site name. So if we go to settings general, we can change that out. And so typically when I add my sites to the command center, whenever you add a new site, you choose what that site title is. And if you do it automatically to like domain 2, excuse me, it will default the site title to whatever the URL is, but you have a chance to edit that before you launch it. So if you want to, not have to mess with that, just make sure you edit the website, change that out before you launch it. If it's after you launch it, then you would just do it through general settings here. And it would be like, water heater repair. And then you can save those changes. So when we refresh, it changes that out. And so that way, my whole thinking with everything is always just, simplicity. I don't want to have to deal with headers. I don't want to have to create headers. I don't want to, do any of that kind of stuff. So whatever the site title, that's what shows up there. We do have, random posts showing up here on the right-hand side. And also the site menu, another thing that I've added in the past, I don't have it on this one, but it's the categories themselves. So if we have all the states, I typically will add a list of categories under the random post. And we would save it so that when we refresh, it just shows all 50 states there, just, for a bit more interlinking, which in this case, we only built the 100 posts. So it's only going to have the 100 from Alabama. But if you built out the whole site, you're going to get all your categories there. So just to, help with interlinking. What else? Let's see. I believe that's the main thing with this. It already has your, it already has the about us, contact us, privacy policy, those kind of things. There is no terms of service page. I haven't really run into any issues, but if you want to just be 100% safe, add one of those term of service pages on there. And, that's pretty much it with this template. So going back into like, how would I attack this niche, going forward? So let's say that, I built the site, I start getting it indexed, it starts generating traffic. We go into, we look into site details here. We start looking at the traffic. So we look at, I take a look at traffic data, and normally I do this, just through websites, traffic dashboard, just to get a good overview. But, just, you can also look into it deeper. But I want to see that the visits that I'm getting, if we're taking a look at the visits, that they're not direct entries like this, that they're actually Google searches. So it should look more like, if we're looking at this, let me take a look at one of the sites that is getting traffic. And we can see that. Let's take a look at one of these. So you can see what it should look like when you're getting Google traffic. So it would look like this area here that we were looking at. Where did it go? I guess I lost it. I clicked out of it. But where it says, where is the traffic coming from, it will show that it's okay. It's Google traffic. Now, it's not going to give us the keywords for the most part, because that changed a while back, I think like almost 2 years ago now, where they stopped really giving out keywords. But we just want to see that it's getting traffic so that I know that, okay, this is a niche that I can work in. This is a niche that, just with a dinky website that we didn't really put much effort into, we're getting traffic. So then, using any kind of keyword tool, we want to generate a large list of keywords, anywhere from like 600 to even 1,000 keywords, because then what we do is when I have that large list of keywords, let's say, for example, if I just use my built-in tag generator to kind of grab a large list of keywords, this is a way that I kind of cheat every now and then. I don't want to, if I don't want to open like Longtail Pro or anything like that, we would just go into generate tags. We'll put in water heater repair. Say that we want 600. I don't put any city, state, short sip or anything like that. And so now I've got a long list of keywords here. So with this long list, I bring it over to just a random text editor. I want to get rid of this space and the comma, just kind of separate everything into new lines. So depending on your text editor, sometimes they let you do this grep type formatting, which you can just tell it to, you want to find the space and comma, replace it with \n, that just means new line. So if we replace that, it breaks it all down into new lines. We've got 600 different keywords, and then I can start working off of a spreadsheet. So when I have everything in a spreadsheet, then I basically just start going down the list and start generating websites for every 20 tabs or every 20 tags. So the way that just to keep everything random when I'm doing this and kind of keep my, I guess, human brain out of it, is I just follow the list exactly like it falls. And I'll grab the first set, just kind of bring it there. And so when I'm creating my Shaker page, I'll go ahead and use import tabs. I'll do that. And so I've got my tags, but the very first tag at the top of the, at the top of the group, that's what I'm going to use as my keyword, or at least the main variation of it. Now, typically I like my keywords to have at least 2 or 3 words, to actually be somewhat of a phrase. So I know that I can start with plumber, but so it could be like plumber, emergency plumber, something along those lines, but it's got the word plumber in it. And then we go, do the same thing. Everything that we did on the other one, we'll do it for that one. Then for the next 20, I build my website, delete those. And do it for the next 20, where we grab that. And so my first keyword will be clogged toilet. And that's going to be what I'm going to use to grab the content, to generate the title, slug, everything around that. And so that way like I said, it takes the human element out of it, because Had I looked at a keyword list and I was able, and I was trying to pick out different keywords, I probably wouldn't pick clogged toilet, or, let's say like the next 20 would be tankless water heater installation code, installation cost, and, all those different ones. I wouldn't use some of these keywords, but what I found over time, especially with AdSense websites, is that some of those could be the ones that end up bringing the most amount of traffic. It's the ones that I typically would skip over. And so that way, by targeting those different ones, we're able to really dig deep. And since I'm doing 20 tags or 20 keywords per website, those tags are going to be bringing in traffic. And by having 600 different keywords, that's 30 websites that I can put out just for that specific niche. Now, if I didn't have something like the command center available, or something that allowed me to really, move forward, do things in mass, then, I would have some issues that way. But because we're able to do things so quickly with the command center, it could be a combination of, you start thinking about 30 websites, you're like, okay, that's 30 domains. If we're not using the cheap domains, it could easily be $300 in domain costs, but it doesn't have to be. You can also, you can purchase a $10 domain and split it out into 5 subdomains so that you fit 5 different websites per each domain. And so now it's not $10 a website, it's more like $2 a website. And, there's just lots of different ways to kind of maximize the cost, or minimize the cost per website. And I take advantage of it all. I'll build directly on the root. I've built subdomains. I've built both on the root and subdomains, and just, use a combination of it. I use cheap domains. I use full .coms, .org, .net. I think the trick is really to just kind of keep varying it up. Don't get so caught up in one particular way. And then every time, if you do something different, whenever you build, like, let's say for this particular website, okay, I didn't use 5 articles, I only used 2, but I also added something with Article Forge. Take advantage of the tagging feature that I have in the command center. I don't think a lot of people take advantage of it. And for me, as much testing as I do, it's crucial. This little box down here at the bottom of your websites, you can choose, you can add anything there. And so in the future, you can search for it. So let's say, for example, I'd say I put here, 5 articles. Type it in, hit enter, it automatically tags that with 5 articles. And so for this one, I did 5 articles as well. So we do that. And so then in the future, you can come and actually do a search for 5 articles up at the very top. And it's going to show you which ones have that particular tag, or, maybe that one of the words happens to be part of the domain name or something like that. But at least it just makes it easy to kind of keep track of everything. Because once you get over like 100 websites, it starts getting a little complicated. So it's very important to kind of have some kind of method, or even using the note feature that we've got in the very front here, with tasks, where you can add a task that but a particular website. So some of you may choose to actually turn off the ads on ClickBump. You may choose to turn them off, and then 2 weeks later, you want to turn them on, after it's starting to index. I honestly haven't found a difference, by having them active from the get-go or not. Some people, swear by not turning ads right away. If that's if that's the case, then, that will be completely up to you. Don't remember exactly how you would turn it off. Maybe just deleting the publisher ID will get rid of it. Like I said, I haven't played around too much with that, because I just leave them on. I want to put out as many as possible and not have to worry about having to come back to it. But we do have the option here on the home page to add a new task to your websites. Actually, I think you do it through the actual website itself. So if we go to the website find our particular website. I want to get rid of the search there. Go to this last one that I just built. And under site details is where you can add a new task and kind of be, you know, like I launched this today. I want to be reminded in 2 weeks to add AdSense to it. So we just come over here. We tell you we want to do a new task. Let's say add AdSense. Let's say in 2 weeks time, we want to do that. And then that way you'll get reminded whenever you come to the home page, which tasks are pending as it gets closer. Whenever it's about a week away or so, it will actually start showing up here, all the different tasks. And then that way you know which task you have to do and which ones or which websites you have to update and whatnot. Let's see, I've got some questions that were asked here. Nick, you were asking, how do you get those long list of keywords? Either Longtail Pro, which I haven't fired it up in a long time. I know last time I did, it was having some issues, but that's one of my favorite ones, Longtail Pro. Or, like I said, just using the built-in tag generator we've got in the command center. That's actually been the latest one. Whenever I just, you know, I've always had the idea to turn that into a full-fledged kind of keyword tool, just a quick way to kind of grab a bunch of keywords. But for right now, you can just go to the Shaker page area, add new, and put in there however many keywords you want. Not sure if there's a specific limit. I don't remember when I was going through the API of Google AdWords, because what this is doing, this is pulling the keywords right out of Google AdWords, right from their keyword tool. It's using the API there. So let's see, water heater repair. Let me see if I push it a bit and put 1,000 and see if it actually can pull out even 1,000 results. And I think it obviously depends on the niche itself too. Some of them are going to have more keywords available than others. Let's see. It looks like this. See, this one stopped at 691, so it didn't give me 1,000 results, but 691, that's a decent amount of keywords. And as you can see, as it kind of goes deeper into it, we start getting those longer tails. And these are, I mean, these are great keywords. You know, I just saw something here. I need a water heater. I need a plumber, hot water heater problems. You know, these are all extremely relevant to that specific niche, but just you're pretty much hitting every single variation possible. And that's the idea with these websites. You know, the reason I dig deep is, you know, okay, we did really well with that one, just hitting 20 variations. Now let's attack the niche and hit every variation possible in all the cities. So then that way, and you can even do this for, you know, local businesses. Like this would be the same idea that I would do if we had a local business. Instead of taking it to the, you know, to a national level, I would just blanket their whole city with, you know, every single variation possible that we can kind of think of that particular niche, so that no matter whatever somebody types in to Google, we have a chance of one of our websites showing up there and generating that traffic. And so with AdSense, as we can snag up, you know, all of these little long tail traffic, and it turns into clicks, then, you know, we'll end up making money with it. Now, the main thing to also keep in mind, and the main reason you want to try out so many different niches, you know, this is a local business, local service type niche, which I know for a fact they don't pay very well in AdSense. There's other things in AdSense you can do that pays a lot better. And, you know, the trick is just finding those random niches that you can still put a local twist to, but it's not necessarily like a local service. And those are going to pay a lot better per click because it's not, just it's more national companies targeting them, which they have bigger ad budgets as opposed to your typical carpet cleaner or plumber or something like that that just has a lower budget and they get, you get a lower payout per click. But when I was heavy in the education niche, I actually started out with education or with AdSense on education because education clicks were like $1, at least $1 each one, just because it was large education institutions that were paying for those ads. And there's plenty of other niches out there that you can easily get $1 a click and doesn't have any other SERPShaker users kind of targeting it. But you wouldn't find them by just always building the same kind of site. So to start out, just come up with random niches, some local services, even, like products to buy. I've done some in the past for like, I think one of them was like baseball bats. I just got the idea in my head, like baseball bat. So I put in baseball bat and City State short sip, built that out. It was, getting good traffic back in the day. And that worked out really well. So you can do that with products. You can do it with pretty much anything, and put a local twist to it because it's really the tags that are going to bring in traffic. And so as long as you generate relevant tags, then, you can kind of go from there. And if you happen to hit one that's getting traffic, that's getting clicks, and the clicks are worth it, then dig deep into it and kind of follow this strategy where you attack it with the multiple keywords. So John, you're saying I found that long list of what are here keywords. No, I got this long list using just our tag generator here. I just go ahead and I told it to do 600 or 1,000 tags. I put in the keyword and it didn't give me quite 1,000. It got me 691, but at least I have something to work with there. So the tag generator itself, we can do that. And then, I've got the code for it. So I may just, make it available as a tool that, just to kind of generate a long list of keywords. I believe they also, I got to check and see because based on their new changes, but it used to also give me data on search result or volume and stuff like that. But I know that they changed their keyword planner. They changed it to where it doesn't show volume anymore. It could be something that's only available through the API, which is what this is using. So we may be able to, get volume data as well. But I'll take a look and see how in depth I can go with it and how much we can do with it. Or if it's, just keep it simple and generate a long list that can work as well. Let's see. I answered some of these. John was asking how many sites would you say you need to make about 1,000 a month with AdSense? It's a really, it's a loaded question because there's really no definite amount. It really would depend on, the niches you happen to kind of come upon and the kind of traffic that you're generating. I know that in the past with a single site, I've made $1,000 a month, but, to find that one site, I probably had, 300, 400 sites out there. But it is very possible because, if you think about it, you're getting $1 a click and, it only takes about 30 clicks a day to get it pretty close to 1,000 a month. And so, if, that's the kind of math that I used to play with whenever I was doing AdSense heavily is, if I can get, if this niche is getting this much per click, how many clicks do I need to get to the $33 a day? Because one of the cool things about AdSense is that, once you get the traffic kind of flowing, it's pretty predictable how much you're going to make per day. It's pretty steady unless you have like a big drop in traffic by the indexing or something. But it is pretty steady and you can see, weekends are usually die out in the niches that I used to do. So, like Saturday and Sunday were crap, but the rest of the week were pretty good. And you would start, seeing the daily number of clicks just rise as you got more and more sites out there. So it's easy to see, how much more activity you needed to do to get to a certain point. But I think it's different for everybody because I've had sites that would get 100 visits a day and they would get clicks. But if it was like, 10, 20 cents, at the end of the day, it only made $2, $3. But if you've got 100 of those, that's $300 a day, which, could be really significant. So it just depends on a lot of different things, really. But I would say that the best thing you can do is just get some sites out there. You really won't know until you get some sites out there. And that's what I'm starting to do. Because my current AdSense account, I'm making maybe like $2, $3 a day. But over the span of the next month or so, I'm going to be daily putting out these sites, getting a good figure for, what niches kind of react the best to AdSense nowadays, because it's been almost 2 or 3 years since I really attacked the space, and then dig deep into the ones that are generating stuff for me and, get it up to 100 a day or more. I've figured out that it needs the multiple streams of income, passive income with these sites that really add up. Not necessarily just focusing on one, but, dedicating, like different days of the week to different ones. So like Monday would be my AdSense site, Tuesday, pay-per call, Wednesday, CPA type stuff, and just kind of rotate through that. And then that way, that you're constantly attacking, the different offers. The current thing that that's working for me the most, or bringing me the most income, is pay-per-call. But I want to grow all areas. I haven't done a whole lot with Max Bounty, which I used to generate good income with Max Bounty. So I'm going to go ahead and put out some more Max Bounty type sites, CPA. Just have to find out what's the current best way to direct that traffic. Or if I can come up with a way to sell it directly on the page, just like I've done with all my other ones. And also AdSense is another one that I want to grow, another area that I want to go. Like I said, John, what I want to continue doing is growing every single area instead of just focusing on one particular one. Mark, you're asking, is there a max number of posts that is suggested? There's not necessarily a max number of posts, but I prefer working with the smaller list, the 15,000, as opposed to the 40,000 list that's also available. The reason being is that the 40,000 list is really not bringing in that great of results. It's not like, okay, I'm doing 15,000, so let me do 40,000 so I can double or triple the amount of traffic that I'm getting. It really hasn't worked out that way. So basically, we are taking up more resources, we're taking up more space in our servers, and not getting extra results. So I just use the 15,000 and get good results with it. Now, like James was asking, have you noticed slow indexing over the last few months? Definitely. It has slowed down quite a bit. Even with the new service that I was using, it still seems to be pretty slow, which is why I haven't taken the time to develop anything into the command center that integrates that new indexer. Now, there is another indexer that I just heard about today that seems to be showing some promise. I'm talking to the developer and see if we can actually get it set up as a web service, as opposed to having to run a Windows program. Because ideally, I would like something that I can tie into the command center with an API, make it completely hands-off. Every time we launch a site, we just click a button and it starts getting indexed. I've yet to find something that way. So it's still up in the air as far as what's working. I'm gonna try to see if I can get something going myself as well, but it's just, indexing right now, it's like a tricky subject. I can get them to start indexing pretty quickly, but getting the full site index seems like it's taking a good 2-3 weeks, which makes it a little bit harder. But, now this is the last in our webinar series, so I'm going to dedicate all my time to, building up my network and also testing new strategies. So I'll definitely be keeping you guys updated in the process. Ray, you're asking if we need a fancy indexer. I'm assuming you're talking about like Bad Axe indexer or something, or the Authority indexer that uses PVA accounts. They help, but I don't like how hands-on they are. Meaning that you have to load in the list of links, you have to load in the list of PVA accounts, load this in. So that slows it too much for me, you know, like that. I personally can't even get myself to, you know, get past the first step of loading in the link list, because every time that I build a site, I really would rather just push a button and have, you know, a program do that for me, you know, because all my sitemaps are exactly the same. I should be able to just, you know, code it in there. So I've had a few that I tested that have APIs available. They're just not as fast as I want them to be. So I'm continuing to test. Still just haven't found that sweet spot, which I'm really kind of toying with the idea of generating my own that's fully web-based, so that we don't have to worry about any of that other stuff. Mark, you were asking about Badass Indexer. It still works. I mean, like, I'm not going to lie. It works great. It works almost immediate, you know, when you put things in there. It's just the amount of work that goes into it to get it to run. So if you're more, I guess, organized than I am, and you're able to, you know, load things in. The other problem with me is I'm all Mac based, and they all run on Windows. So I do have a BPS available, and, you know, I work pretty well with the BPS and do some other things in my BPS, but it's just, you know, it's kind of hard for me to get myself to use it, especially, you know, coming from a programming background. Would I rather everything just be kind of like web-based and have an API available so that I can just code things in and automate it as much as possible. But I mean, if I don't find anything within the next week or two that kind of fits the bill, then I'm going to get my own team of developers on it and kind of come up with it. Because I know it's possible to automate the whole process. I was just, you know, I wasn't looking for me to be the one that manages the whole process. But if it's not able, you know, if I'm not able to find something, then we'll try to get a way to get it implemented into the command center or something like that. Mark, you're asking city list. Just suggest using other city list than USA, since it might be overused. Honestly, I haven't tested that. You know, the city list that I use comes directly from Google. So, but it's the one that pretty much every SERPShaker user uses. But I will tell you that the vast majority of web traffic for AdSense and all the other ones comes from the US. So I know that, you know, this methodology could work even better in some other countries where it hasn't been as saturated by mass page builders, but there might not be as much traffic there, or the ads themselves may not pay as much. But that's just me speaking in theory, you know, not actually me myself testing it out and seeing what works and what doesn't. So I've always played around with or had the idea in my head of, you know, attacking other countries. I've just never gotten into it. So it could be something that you could test out and see how well it works out. There are other ways of finding lists. I don't think... Actually, I may have gotten lucky. Yeah, if you guys go to download.geonames.org, you can play around with that area and those things there, and you may be able to find some lists, because I've downloaded some lists there before. I believe if you go through countries, and let's say that I want to do, let's do like Brazil. You know, there's a way you can download. All right, so this is the correct URL. I knew there was an area we could download ones. So if you go to that website there, download.geonames.org/export/zip, you get all the different countries there. And so, or most of them, I don't think all the countries are actually here, but let's see if we look for BR, which would be Brazil. Let's see what kind of format these are in. All right, so we should be able to actually open this as a CXB. All right, here we go. So yeah, now depending on the city, you may have some issues with the like exclamation points or such, which is what I see here. But yeah, you're able to download some of the other ones, get some other city lists that way. And then as long as it doesn't have like exclamation points or any weird characters, then it should be fine. I don't know if we do an import, actually file, import, text file. If it makes a difference. No, it still has the same issues. So depending on the country, you may have issues with it, with the characters. But this is a way to get some other countries if you wanted to test it out in some other countries. I know I've downloaded, I think, Canada from here. I know I've played around with Brazil before, Colombia, some other different ones. But just to see if you can get traffic in other areas as well, that's one way to test it. Nick, you're asking about the previous webinar. They're actually here on the home page. So if you go to the home page and go to webinar series or quick start webinar series, this one, SSCC webinar series, you can see the last two replays are here from 213 and 221. And then today's webinar, I'll post it within 24 hours. Once I get the link from Demio, they'll usually get it pretty quick. So I'll be able to do that. But we've gone over the hour here. So I'm going to go ahead and be ending the webinar here. If there are any other questions, please, take advantage of this little button down here in the bottom right of the command center. I was a bit behind for a little bit, but for the most part, I've caught up with everybody, and I will continue to be on top of it because now, I've got more of a normal work schedule going on, which is going to allow me to, continue testing new things, kind of keeping up with what's going on with Google, finding new strategies, sharing them with you guys. If it's anything major, we can just schedule a webinar about it. If not, then I'll just send a message through the app. But, you know, I want you guys to obviously continue getting the best results from your websites. So I'll be sharing anything and everything that I kind of come across in the process that's working for me and helping me out, so that you guys can continue getting those results from your website. And, you know, we can continue getting more and more traffic from our sites. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I will be posting the replay later today, and I'll see you guys inside the command center and just chatting away. Have a good one.